Just for the taste of it, Diet Coke. Hey, everybody. And hey, Ramey, I just saw that, man. It is cool. Rain check, man. I'm going to be on. It's going to be out there. You could watch this. There's probably nothing that's going to be said in this stream that must be heard live and immediately. Probably no breaking news. So don't worry about it. But hey, everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Apparently, I'm going for a Ted Knight thing now. Fresca Daddy. So what's up? Sunday morning. It's already over 100 degrees in Las Vegas. We're going to probably hit another 120 today. I mean, last night, I go out at about 7:30 to hang out with the dog on the patio. And it was already 115. Or it was still 115. It had gone down. And there was a warm wind. And mind you, I'm in the shade. And that's a thermometer in the shade. So 115 in the shade. If I'd been standing out in sunlight 2 or 3 degrees hotter at that point, it means it was probably, in all honesty, it was probably where I live in Vegas, in the sunlight at the height, 122, 123, something like that. Yeah, because we usually run a few degrees higher than the official temperature, which I guess they take at McCarran. It's still McCarran to me because I'm not going to name it after what's his name. But at McCarran Airport. So, yeah. Oh, God. It's tough. It's tough. This room, like, it's going to heat up over the course of this stream. It'll probably be pretty unpleasant by the time I'm done. But anyway, I hope everybody else is staying cool. Staying cool for summer. We're just going through it right now. But it's not that odd for Vegas. In fact, last year, I don't think we ever hit like 120 over here last year. It was a remarkably nice summer. It was pretty darn pleasant as I move stuff around. I got this little tower that I usually have a camera sitting on. It's not at the moment because I found that I got better lighting if I did the camera face forward. I've tried to do that for other videos, but the way I usually have my camera set up with my monitor is when I'm looking at my script, it kind of looks like I'm looking at the image on the side of the screen, right? And so it kind of works. But when I do face on, I can't get it to work properly. It always looks weird. I've actually recorded parts of videos and then just thrown them away because I'm like, nah, it just doesn't look right. Any rate, the tower is shaking when I move, which does not impact the live stream at all, but it annoys me. So I had to put something on it to hold it steady. You're going to get all sorts of good stuff like this from this stream. It's going to be amazing. So, what are we talking about today? I mean, obviously the big story at the moment is Spider-Man. New Spider-Man is out. And it's getting pretty good numbers, honestly. I've heard that maybe worldwide it could maybe bump against $1 billion for the opening week, or maybe even weekend, but maybe week. Just pretty damn impressive. And it's doing it largely, I think, maybe entirely without any IMAX screenings at all. So we're talking like normal ticket pricing, and it's filling up theaters, and it's doing really, really, really well. The reviews that I'm hearing are what I'm getting, like, overall, they're overall positive, but I'm finding two things that a lot of them seem to share. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what it ultimately does. I unless it suffered some bizarre drop off, you got to call this a blockbuster already. You got to call it a blockbuster. If it has any decent retention whatsoever, it's going to be a blockbuster. But what I'm getting is, this is looking at the reviews and parsing through them. Emotionally, this is a great movie. People are enjoying the action scenes. People enjoy performances, etc. Really good. Plot-wise, it's a freaking mess. I mean, more plot holes probably than a slice of Swiss cheese. And kind of messy, kind of crammed full of stuff, which is exactly what I got watching the trailer. Was this thing looked like it's going to be kind of a mess in terms of just all the different stuff they got in here. They do this all the time. You got these movies that are, frankly, in my opinion, they're too damn long. And one of the reasons they're too damn long is instead of just focusing on hero, villain, side characters, it's hero plus other hero plus a third sort of hero plus villain plus villain plus villain plus the main villain. It's too much. It's too much. So narratively, a lot of problems. Now, for most people, it seems that the emotional overrides the narrative, the logical. You know, for some people, it's the other way around. They go, thing's a mess. But I've seen a lot of people who oftentimes say, kind of turn off your brain and just enjoy the ride, which is cool. And I thought for the generation it's sort of aimed at, the younger folks, the young people, it would probably really hit them where they wanted to be hit. And my daughter's more or less in that group, not Gen Alpha, at this point, but she's kind of right between millennial Gen Z. And she's liked all these. She likes Holland as Spider-Man, and she liked it. So, I mean, she's not the harshest critic of movies, although she can be a few. she can nail a few movies for sure. But she liked it quite a bit. So that didn't surprise me. So I think it's going to do really, really well. Now, a lot of people will say, well, but what about comparisons, and what about inflation numbers, and what about I've done the work for everybody, which means I actually thought about it this morning, and I'm like, when I was still in bed, and I'm like, hey, Grok, what's the opening day numbers for all the Spider-Man movies? So it did most of the work for me. I won't lie, but I put it together. So if we're looking at opening day numbers, now remember, we're talking just opening day, so not opening weekend, not previews, just official opening day. What did the Spider-Man movies do? Starting in 2002 with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Now they're inflation adjusted, but they're not inflation adjusted. What I did is, what was the opening day haul? What was the average ticket price that year? How many tickets does that translate into? So are we seeing a phenomenon right now with Brand New Day? All right. So if we look at that original Spidey, 6.78 million tickets sold for opening day. And mind you, that was in 3,600 theaters. Fewer than all the rest of these. The theater count has generally gone up, although it's actually down for Brand New Day compared to Far From Home, which I think is interesting. And then maybe that's because the Odyssey's out there at the moment, so there's two kind of big dudes elbowing. But so it's about 3,600 theaters. Average ticket price in 2002 was $5.81. So translate to 6.78 million tickets for opening day. Sequel, 6.51 million. So it went down a little bit for opening day. And then in 2007, Spider-Man 3, 8.7 million tickets. So it popped right back up. Why? Because Spider-Man 2 was a really good movie, and this benefited from that. And largely threw that advantage away, because what happened with this one? It was a freaking mess. Too many villains. The studio got more involved. Raimi went ahead and let them get involved. He's not known for being a guy who likes to fight with the studios, because I think Sam Raimi is a genuinely good dude. I've actually met him once. I've chatted with him at a Video Software Dealers Association convention, just as Army of Darkness was being released onto videotape. I got to meet and chat with him and Bruce Campbell for just like a little tiny bit, but struck me as being a very cool dude, very good guy, very down to earth. I don't think he likes to fight. So, okay, you want this and he wanted a Sandman movie. We want Venom. And also we want the Green Goblin back. And, they stopped short at Paste Pot Pete, but that was about it. And I think it hurt the movie. And so the follow-up to that, 5 years later with The Amazing Spider-Man, I know it's a little hard to read, 4.51 million tickets sold. Mind you, in more theaters than Spider-Man 3 was. So it didn't do quite as well as they wanted it to do, but it did fairly well. I mean, and a lot of people from that era who were young have really good memories of Garfield playing Spider-Man and the whole thing. They really stand by it and really. Now, that was like, by 2012, I was kind of done. I wasn't going to movies very much anymore. Actually, I didn't watch Spider-Man 3 in the theaters either, because it didn't look that good to me, and I was kind of all right. And but I did catch it later, most of it, like on cable, and I was like, yeah, that's not good. Anyhow, oh wait, there's not much competition out there when you are starving and someone throws you a cracker. Yeah, pretty much. I thought for a minute somebody in the chat was calling me a cracker, which technically not true. I'm more Midwesterner. The cracker culture is the South, and actually, interestingly enough, inner city. The inner city culture is heavily tied to Southern cracker culture. Read your Thomas Sowell. But anyhow, yes, so it's true. When you got nothing better, but okay, so Amazing Spider-Man 2 years later, 4.3 million. So it went down a little bit. Spider-Man 2 went down a little bit. Obviously, Amazing Spider-Man, a lot of people were kind of iffy on it. They didn't necessarily think Garfield looked much like Spider-Man. A lot of people say he played a great Peter Parker. Okay, and I might watch him one of these days just to be doing it. But I know the Electro thing didn't go over mega well. So 4.3 million, that kind of ended it. We just got 2 of those. So overall, they didn't do great. Okay. 3 years later, Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland begins his run as Peter Parker. Mind you, even though the movies kind of start over again and tell different stories, I think they've achieved with Spider-Man kind of what they've achieved, or what they had achieved with James Bond, which is new guy's going to step into the role, and it just keeps rolling. It hasn't become such a thing as it became with, the Black Panther character. It's just sort of like, okay, new guy's playing Spidey-Man. No big deal. So Homecoming, 2017, 5.66 million tickets for opening day. So not as much as Spider-Man, as Raimi's Spider-Man, but better than The Amazing Spider-Man. Okay, and now remember, this is MCU time. So this is like superhero movies are doing big box office. They're a thing. The follow-up, Far From Home, 4.29. So it dropped quite a bit. More theaters dropped quite a bit. All right. So maybe 2019. But we're heading into, I don't know, we're heading at that point into COVID, but we're not there yet. So the theaters aren't shut down. Okay. But the trajectory is not exactly what they would probably want it to be. So, Spider-Man, No Way Home. Bringing back the past Spider-Man. A whole big multiverse thing. Opening day for this one. 11.99, basically 12 million tickets sold opening day. Now, a lot of that obviously can be credited to Tobey Maguire being in it, Andrew Garfield being in it, and what they did with that. It was kind of a big thing, but it succeeded. I mean, it succeeded at that. Okay, so what does Spider-Man Brand New Day do? Right? Because if it went down, you'd say, well, okay, but it didn't have all the extra. I mean, it has Hulk, it has Punisher, but it doesn't have all the other Spider-Men in it. If it went down opening day, you'd say, that's fine. That's not like the end of the world. It makes sense. The other one was an event. 14.85 million tickets opening day. So this is basically like, if we're talking about inflation adjusted, that's kind of what this is. We're looking at ticket price inflation rather than broader CPI overall inflation. We're looking at tickets sold. So this really does mean something. And while the United States population has grown, obviously, between 2002 and 2026, we won't get started on how some of that growth occurred. It's not like looking at 1940s America versus 2020s America in terms of population. It's pretty stable. So we go from, let's say, peak original Sam Raimi Spider trilogy, 8.7 million, to 14.85 million. Basically 9 million tickets to 15 million tickets. Is this thing a phenomenon? It's a phenomenon. That is huge. Now, I think a lot of it has to do with No Way Home being so successful, but clearly it left good vibes in people. There are probably a lot of people who went and saw that who had maybe not watched the other Spider-Man movies that Tom Holland was in. They liked what they saw. They've come back to this one. From what I can tell, looking at reviews, looking at how people feel about this movie, I don't think we're going to see major falling off. In other words, if this thing came out and it's got the 15 million tickets for opening day, but the overall reviews were like, it's not really very good, you could say, well, the next ones ain't going to do that. The next one is not going to do that. Pretty positive reviews. People seem pretty damn happy with it. I do love the fact that we actually get Spider-Man's real costume. Cool. Do I think I would like this movie? I think it's possible I would enjoy the action sequences and the rest of it be like, and probably give it about a C. I haven't watched it. I'm probably not going to, if I'm completely, I haven't watched any of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. But you just reading the reviews and people I trust and what they're saying. And here's why I like this. Here's why I didn't like this. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see where I'd probably fall on this thing. But overall, it seems audiences in general really are enjoying this movie. I don't think it's going to see a major drop off. I think it's going to probably be a box office friggin' smash. I mean, dude, is this getting like, is this dude going to kind of kick the Avatar movies' butts? I mean, they've done extremely well with nobody talking about them afterwards. Is this going to really just like really do those kind of numbers, but people are going to talk about it and think about it and love it and come back for the next one? What's the next Spider-Man movie going to do? Again, if it went a little bit lower, because Raimi's first Spider-Man, very popular. Spider-Man 2, slightly less opening day. But did well, right? But a little less opening day. Opening day for Spider-Man, Another Freaking Day, whatever they're going to call it. It could go down a little bit, but is it going to go down a ton? It could still be pulling more than like 14 million tickets opening weekend. And if they do a good job with it. So, I think what's interesting to me here is Sony's Spider-Man franchise is clearly in the ascendancy. It's going up. right? Again, just looking at opening days, 5.6 million, down to 4.3, but then up to 12, up to 15. And if you said the next one's going to sell 16 million tickets opening day, I would not be surprised. I would say, well, but I wouldn't say, no, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. It could. It's in ascendancy. Disney's MCU is not, frankly. It's not in ascendancy. They're doing this Hail Mary pass with Doomsday and Secret Wars. And it might work, and frankly, it might not work. You know, it really might not. And if Doomsday doesn't work, if Doomsday does not seriously move the needle, in other words, Doomsday might get numbers like this opening day, but Doomsday, if you told me Doomsday would take a 65% drop or a 70% drop the next week, I'd say it might. It's possible. Is it going to give you the visceral thrills that this thing did? Because again, this thing apparently, it sounds like it has some major plot holes. I'm not going to get into what those are because it could spoil things. But, you know, it's not necessarily the greatest written movie in all history, but it hits the emotional stuff where it really should. It makes people happy. Good. If Doomsday can do that, it'll probably do fine. If Doomsday doesn't quite do that, shoving a lot of characters down your throat you don't really care about. It's like if you think there's too many characters in Brand New Day, or if you thought there were too many characters in No Way Home, you ain't seen nothing yet. Doomsday is going to be ridiculous in that regard. And frankly, some of the characters are shoving into it. You're going, they didn't need to be there. You could have left them out. They did not need to be there. Not very popular. Didn't need to be there. And they're there. And from what Feige's saying, oh, they ain't going away. And you're going, you're learning nothing. You're learning nothing. You're just like, how do we manipulate people and trick them into going to our movie again? I don't know. What if you just gave people what they actually want, like the Spider-Man movies do? That's why they're in the ascendancy. That's why Disney is not in the ascendancy on pretty much anything. On pretty much anything. Dude, stop treating your customers like crap. Give them a good product. Listen to them. Genuinely listen to them. Listen to them over the people who are fluffing you all day long, over the people that you've hired. Fire people. People need to be fired when they fail. This is success. This is what it looks like. So we get two big successes for Marvel, and neither of them come from Disney. But both of them are using now this less so than Deadpool Wolverine, but so you go, oh, Marvel's back. Marvel's not back. Marvel's back when somebody other than Disney does Marvel. Is Disney firing people wholesale and bringing in new teams? Is Disney raiding Sony and raiding, what is it? Is it Fox who did the friggin' Deadpool thing? I mean, they own them now, so, but are they raiding those people? Those groups, those executives saying, we got to bring these people in here because they know how to deliver something that makes people happy, or are they not? I don't hear much about that, so I don't know, man. But anyhow, yeah, Lady Wendolyn says, Spidey was introduced in Civil War into the MCU, yeah, and he was liked already. Bet that helped, yeah. But see, the point is, like, even though Far From Home didn't do well and a lot of people didn't care for it, I don't think it destroyed the overall audience's love of that version of Spider-Man. I think that's what you want. If you're going to have a movie fail, you want it to be because people love the character, but they were like, that didn't really deliver what I want. Right? What you don't want it to do is people come out going, I don't like that character anymore. Ew. They changed him, man. That sucked. I don't think they did that in that movie. I think just the movie itself did not quite hit as well for whatever reason. But it was because people were disappointed. They expected more from that character because they liked him a lot in the first Homecoming movie. You know, that's kind of a good thing. It says, okay, they're still with us. They still like this dude. We just got to deliver a better product. And then they did whatever they could to deliver a better product. And yeah, I mean, obviously No Way Home's a little bit gimmicky and you can't do that. And that, you know, over and over again, you can't keep doing that. So you gotta get your crap right. But it seems like with Brand New Day, at least in terms of delivering something that the audience enjoyed emotionally, to the point that maybe if there's some plot holes, they didn't really matter. They succeeded. They did it, and so did Deadpool and Wolverine, man. It brought something that people had a lot of fun with, even though it's just chock full of plot holes. It's a superhero movie. Plot holes don't necessarily mean everything. If it's delivering an emotional thrill, if it's a character that people genuinely connect with, both due to how the character's written and how it's acted, and they've done that here. Disney doesn't seem to be able to do that. In fact, they take characters that people liked and make them sort of dislike them. Because Disney dislikes them, the executives do, because they don't tick the boxes, or they don't inflate the executive egos or the activist egos, and they just keep running stuff into the freaking ground that was working. And so you go, well, okay, hey, Deadpool, Wolverine, Spider-Man 4. We'll just call it Spider-Man 4. Doing great. Amazing box office for this movie. So Doomsday shouldn't, not necessarily. Doomsday will probably get a major boost in terms of box office, opening day, opening weekend, from this movie. Because people are going to be like, oh, okay, cool, superhero fun. But if it sucks, and if it does not deliver what people want emotionally from the characters, if it doesn't have that bond, if the charisma's not there, it'll see a big freaking drop-off. And it still might do well, but it's an extremely expensive movie. So it might still also lose money, and they need to stop losing money on these things. And if the only way they can get people in is if somebody else does a good Marvel movie instead of them, and if they pack in 400 characters, and so it costs, $800 billion to make, it's not sustainable. They need to get this to the point where they can make a movie at a reasonable price with just a few of their characters and get the kind of box office, maybe not as high as this, but get solid box office. They've got to prove they can do that again for the Marvel movies to be viable. And I don't know that they're going to do that with Doomsday, but we'll see. It might, but don't sound good. But I don't know that it's going to deliver emotionally what people want, but it could. I mean, you're bringing back some characters people like, but you're kind of bringing back those characters, and then you're kind of not. And then you're doing stuff to some characters people really, really love that they are not going to really, really love at all. Not going to love. So, you're doing things to them you could have done off screen. So the people go, oh, you mean that character technically is not around anymore because his universe was, oh, that's sad. No, we're going to show it happen. Oh, yeah, well, that should go over really friggin' well. Hey, Sushi Hut, what's cooking, man? I guess, it's sushi, so it's not cooking, probably. It's more raw. So what's raw? No, it doesn't make sense. So anyways, there we go. There's a little box office stuff. So is Spider-Man Brand New Day a phenomenon? It is a phenomenon. It is a phenomenon. Inflation adjustment is not going to hurt this movie at all. And I think it's going to roar. I think it's going to roar past the Odyssey. And I think it's probably going to be the number one movie of this year. I would be really surprised if it's not. And my guess is, I think the word of mouth is going to be really strong on this thing. I think people are going to want to see it multiple times. I don't think it's going to see major drop off from week to week. I think it's going to hold pretty darn well. Keeping it raw. I think this movie is going to hold extremely well. So it's going to probably, I could see this thing based on what it's doing right off the bat. I know there is sort of a ratio. I remember looking it up one time. But like, dude, could this thing go 2 billion? It could maybe go 2 billion. It could go 1.8 billion. And that's real. That's the stuff. Doing over $1 billion is great. But I think they're at a point now, population-wise, and with worldwide what it is, that for things to be really a blockbuster at this point, it probably needs to start hitting $1.5 billion realistically to be a blockbuster. I'm not talking about profitable. Because, dude, at this point, with the deal that Nolan got on Odyssey, 20% of gross, that movie could do really well and still actually barely eke out a profit, at least in terms of theatrical. It could. So profit's important, but we're talking here like phenomenon. We're talking Star Wars. We're talking Jaws. We're talking the stuff that people are talking about at 20 years later kind of phenomenon. You're probably needing to hit like 1.5 billion, global type stuff to really be that kind of movie at this point. 1 billion is like good. You need to definitely be hitting a billion or you failed for like the big stuff, But to be like a blockbuster amongst the big stuff, 1.5 billion is probably the floor at this point, for really being super legit. And this dude might blow that out of the water, really. And the really funny thing will be now, if this thing does extremely well and Doomsday comes in and nothing, that's going to be bad, because you are well beyond the point where you could say, well, it's superhero fatigue. Well, it's just the way theaters work nowadays. Well, no, you got no excuses. You can't go, well, No Way Home was kind of a special event movie, so you can't really. Is this a special event movie? This is a movie. This is just a movie, Spider-Man. And it has Hulk and Punisher in it. Great, awesome. It's got a mysterious villain. It's got blah, 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 blah. Okay. It's just a movie. It's not like a weird event where, you're never going to see these characters on the screen together again. Like, remember the Star Wars one where you got to see Luke and Han and Leia and Chewie all together? Oh, no, you didn't get to see that, did you? Yeah. Disney. Disney can defeat itself like nobody can. Disney can take a decent movie like John Carter of Mars and kill it in its crib. Because we don't want to have two successful science fiction movies at the same time. Why don't you want that? Why can't you have John Carter and Star Wars? You stupid, stupid people. Well, Rocketeer didn't sell as many toys as we thought, so we're going to try to sort of destroy it. Why don't you try to recoup your losses and promote it and give it a good, and get it I don't know if there's a stupider studio than Disney. Lots of money, no brains. Lots of money, no brains. That's Disney. Because now what are they doing now? We buy Star Wars. We destroy the male brand. We buy Marvel. We've kind of destroyed the male brand. Maybe we need to buy Lionsgate Studios so we can improve our male. You got Star Wars and Marvel already. You should be doing fine with male audiences. You're going to destroy Lionsgate if you buy it. Well, we got the money. Use the money properly, you idiots. Hire people that can do what they need to do. And it's not like anybody's going to go, Brand New Day is super based. It's super based. It's totally for the bros. It's totally for the what? No, it's not. In fact, one person said it's great, but it's a very Gen Z movie. So if you're older than Gen Z, it has stuff that might get on your nerves. It's not. It's a charismatic character. It works. They made it work. Okay. Man-O-War is under his wife's car changing oil. Dude, as long as, if you're going to be under your wife's car, changing oil is the reason you want to be under there. There's worse reasons. There's much worse reasons, than if you were under your wife's car. Changing oil too. Boy, you're doing it old school, man. Have I changed oil? Back in the old days, I'd help my dad with it, but I don't know if trying to think if I've ever drained the oil out of a car that I've owned and replaced it. I think I've usually just gotten the oil changed, because you got to, if you drain the oil, then you got to dispose of it. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. I think I've told this story before, but my dad, he had a pan of oil that he had drained out of one of our cars. I want to say it was the VW van. And that pan of oil sat outside by our garage door, kind of pushed over to the side. For a decade, you don't have to dispose of it if you don't dispose of it. And the reason I know this is I had a set of these little metal airplanes, almost like Hot Wheel type, but even simpler than that. Kind of just pressed, stamped metal with some decals on it, right? And one of them was like a French Mirage fighter, the Delta wing fighters that it was always Delta. And I'm playing with it over by this little retaining wall where that oil was sitting. And I dropped it into the pan of oil. Well, I wasn't going in after it, and I was not telling my father because it was going to piss him off. So I'm like, that one's gone. That's a casualty of war, right? So a decade or so later, we're moving to a new house, and my dad has to do something with this oil finally, just to be showing the house. He can't have that sitting over there. So I don't know what he bought, but he bought what he had to so he could dispose of it properly. But he's draining it out, and there's that friggin' airplane sitting packed in oil for a decade. And what was amazing to me is that, like, it comes out, it is immaculately clean. It still looks brand new. Even the decals looked brand new for the most part. There might have been a little bit of, but I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. So if you ever wanted to save something forever, pack it in oil, apparently. But anyhow, have fun with that, though. Jeez. So that's Spider-Man. The other kind of Marvel story, this is actually going to be kind of a heavy Marvel stream, is they have apparently cast Emma Frost, the White Queen, for whatever Marvel universe we're getting after what they do with Secret Wars. And it is going to be Samantha Weaving, I believe is the name. I would say Samantha has the key attributes to work as Emma Frost, because let's be honest, Emma Frost is a pinup character, kind of like the Phantom Lady was. That's sort of the point. She runs around, I don't know if she does it anymore, but she ran around in lingerie, white lingerie. Even though she was the sort of headmistress of a group of teenage heroes called the Hellions, and had a bunch of people working for her. She's a telepath. You have this amazingly beautiful blonde in lingerie. That's her work outfit. And you got these dudes who are like guards working for her. You got these teenage boys on the Hellions. Dude, she could read their minds. Can you imagine, like, just don't think, because she's also evil. And I know they mess with the character a lot, so I don't even know anymore, but she's evil, which means, like, if I'm a guard and I think the wrong thing, like, dude, she could probably, kill me. If you thought the wrong thing around Professor X, it's like, he's not going to kill you. If you go, look at that bald-headed dude, ha, 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 he might be like, but Professor X isn't going to kill you, right? But if you think the wrong thing around Emma Frost, she may kill you. She would do that. That's okay with her. That's got to be, like, stressful as hell to work for that person. That has got to be rough. Really rough. But at any rate, they've cast her, and I don't know her acting style, and I don't know even what they're going to do with this character at this point, because all the Marvel characters have gone through 40 different versions, and I stopped reading like 38 versions ago. So I don't know anymore. But I would say overall, yeah, that's probably really good casting. You need somebody who's, blonde, gorgeous, and, will fill out whatever costume they put her in. I mean, I don't think they do like the lingerie anymore, but it's not that much different from lingerie. It's still pretty revealing. That's kind of the point. That's what they go for. So there you go. So we'll see. But it all, of course, comes down to, are they going to write a good movie with the X-Men? What are they going to do? The Hellfire Club, that'd be a great villain if you wanted to do like a trilogy and dealing with the Hellfire Club. That would be great, and it would let you do something with the New Mutants because they kind of work into that. Like you could do a lot with that, and have her go through maybe sort of a redemption arc. You know, if you didn't want to make Magneto like, but I mean Magneto kind of works into that too if you want. But you don't. If you kind of say, let's do something other than Magneto. Let's have the X-Men face something else. Hellfire Club would be a great, huge, high-level group of bad guys to deal with. And you could do some really cool stuff with that. With Sebastian, is Sebastian Shaw? Am I getting that right? I think I'm getting that right. With Jason Wingard. Yeah, Jason Wingard, i.e. Peter Wingard as Jason King. You could do some really fun stuff with that. In fact, if you got a really good character for that, or actor for that role, and they like actually sat down and watched Peter Wingard on TV and movies, Jason King, whatever, and could bring that kind of attitude, and dude, that could be a breakthrough character. I think people could love it, but you got to write it, you got to act it, you got to direct it, you got to get the studio to stop being stupid, and the studio is now Disney, ultimately. So the whole get the studio to stop being stupid is almost off the table. That's not probably going to happen. Anyhow, what else do we got? New acquisitions. Let's talk about a couple new acquisitions. You know, should I take that? Yeah, I better take that off. But just give it another look, fellas. Just okay. So new acquisitions. What did I grab this week from the comic book shop? And we'll do a couple reviews here. Well, we'll do one review here. New Vampirus Carmilla, I went ahead and grabbed. You know, these are fun. It's black and white. It's horror. It's obviously meant to evoke the olden days. But there's some seriously decent art in these things. The stories to me, you know, I read the stories and I'm like, sometimes like, yeah, very good. Sometimes like, maybe could have had a little bit more to it. But I will say this, when I read the old stuff too, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same, honestly. Horror can be kind of tricky to do in these things and do them well. You know what I mean? Like compared, because it's drawings on a page. You know, it's not a movie which can like jump scare you and stuff. You can't really jump scare people with a comic book. So, you know, you kind of go for the little twist, and sometimes the twists are better than others. But overall, Vampirus Carmilla and Shudder are both good. And I know there's areas out there as well, because they're kind of going for eerie, but it's airy. It's pretty good too. Those are all fun. If you miss that kind of stuff, yeah, you can scratch the itch with those for sure. I grabbed a bunch of Defenders books. Let's sort of throw them in order here. They were like $1 a pop. So I grabbed those. Let's show them off. So you got a little bit of the old school Avengers with good old Hulk. Dude, we got Valkyrie and Hellcat battling it out down there. Wish we could have gotten that Valkyrie on screen. She was awesome. She was, I'll be honest with you, the one that we did get on screen, I despised. I hated that character beyond hate. So then we got some that are leading up to the new Defenders. This is sort of the end era, and it was like a bunch of them just in order that I didn't have yet. Which I gotta be honest, with the new Defenders, I got some of those when I was younger, so it was something I wanted to collect all of. I don't know if I completely collected it or not, but I gotta be honest with you, when I had a lot of them finally, and I was reading through all of them, I didn't love them. They're kind of bleak. And it's kind of interesting. J.M. DeMatteis was writing them, I believe. And he was doing at least some of the writing on the sort of last days of the Justice League when they moved to Detroit. And Aquaman was in charge for just a little bit, and then it was Martian Manhunter, and it's when you had Vibe and Gypsy and Steel. And I got a bunch of those, and they're also kind of bleak. I was like, it's kind of weird that DeMatteis was sort of there to end a couple superhero teams, and in similar ways. And I really, it bugged me what they did to those characters in the Justice League. They didn't deserve it. They did not deserve it. I grabbed an old and really in bad shape. I probably overpaid for it. It was $2, but an old Betty and Me, just to be doing it. I did grab a New Defenders because it was the friggin', it was the, is it Sienkiewicz? Was it Sienkiewicz doing the, yeah, Sienkiewicz doing the cover. So I grabbed that. Oh, I did have a couple others. Oh, there's another Defenders that I grabbed. Okay. I like the Defenders. I had a fun time with that group. And then I grabbed an Avengers from a run I'm trying to fully collect. Those I really do like. Sue did some great stuff there. And the Batmans I'm trying to recollect from when I got rid of them way back when. Brayfogle, etc. Great stuff. So I'll grab some of those. Those are like $4 a pop. They weren't bad. And I got the new and final Thundarr the Barbarian, number 6. So 6-issue mini-series. What do we think of this mini-series overall? Let's show off a little bit of the art. Okay, well, it grew on me. Somebody in the chat said, get him. Get Thundarr. It's awesome. Okay, I'll get it. Because I looked at the first one and I was like, I don't really dig the art, man. I really don't dig this art that much. So I got it, though. And it grew on me. Writing-wise, it grew on me as we went through. But I don't know that I ever loved it. I liked it. There's stuff in it I dug. But I didn't love it, right? To me, what I'd love to see in a Thundarr book is basically like Jack Kirby's Commandi. You know, that's kind of what I would like to see. I'd like it to be episodic, wild, fun adventure, that kind of, you know. That's not what this is. This does tell a complete story. It's an interesting one. It involves time travel, and it involves different ways things could happen, and the manipulation and why Earth was sort of destroyed in 1994 in the first place. And you get to kind of explore what happens to these characters in this world that's gone completely, like if you thought the Thundarr world was bad, it could have been a lot worse. So we get to see sort of who these characters are, the depth they find themselves. There's a little bit of redemption in it. And we do get to see sort of an ending to the Thundarr Saturday Morning sort of series, like where that ultimately went. So overall writing, I'd probably say, yeah, I give it a B. It was, you know, I'll give it a grade of B. It was good. Art, I still never really got into. I'm still going for maybe a C- on the art. It's partly, I think, just a style thing. The style's I'm not as into it. But some stuff comes out really nice in it. And then there's panels where I'm like, I don't really dig that panel that much. So more of a C on the art, B on the story. So probably a C+ overall for the series. But not bad. And I think, you know, I got my own personal stuff with it. But I could see where a lot of people it'd be a B+, an A- kind of series, you know. It's a cool story, and it's got some good ideas in it, and you know I liked all that, but I didn't fall in love with it, you know. And honestly, probably just because of my space constraints, it's a 6-issue miniseries, and I'll probably, you know, sell on eBay or something like that at some point. I don't know that I need to keep it forever, but they did finish the story, and it's a satisfying ending. It is a satisfying ending, and there's some stuff in it I really like. So, you know, maybe I'm even being a little too down on it. Maybe I liked it more than I'm kind of saying at the moment, but not bad and worthy. If you're a Thundarr fan, from way back, I think as it begins, kind of like me, you're going to be going, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? As the story unfolds, you'll be like, okay, all right. And I think by the end, you're going to be like, okay, cool. Good job. And again, the art sometimes it's really good. There's some great panels, and then there's panels where I'm like, I don't know, man. And I think the the way they colored it too. But the reality is, like, you look at this cover, like if the interior art was like this, I would have been happier, frankly. I would have preferred that to what the art was. But I don't want to make it sound like it's bad. It just wasn't necessarily what I wanted. Yeah, Michael Cho did the cover art. But it just, the style-wise, just wasn't a style that I loved. So that's Thundarr, but I'm not sorry I got it, and I'm not sorry that I read it at all. It's not like something where I'm like, oh, God, why did I do this? And if it had been, I wouldn't have completed it, frankly. I have no problem with saying, not for me, and I'm not following up on this thing. I did follow up on it because there was something there. So you might want to check it out. You might want to check it out if you're really into it. We got another review we'll do a little bit later. Let's talk about a few coming attractions. Hey, there she is again. What do we do? We do have a few interesting coming attractions here. We got Hasbro with some Marvel Legends pre-orders right now. You can find them on Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. I believe they're still available for pre-order. We got Maximum Series Symbiote Spider-Man. You can see pretty well done there. $50. $50. It's Maximum Series. Cheaper, I might say, yeah, I'll get that, dude, to go with my other Spider-Man. 50. I'm like, nah, it's okay. I can do without him. And a really, frankly, really nice Scorpion for $28. So it's not Maximum Series, but it's a really nice sculpt. They did a fantastic job on it. I just don't have a reason to grab it, and so I'm not, because there's other stuff that I've picked up lately. But $28, so it's your normal Marvel Legends. And if you're collecting the Spidey figures, you got to get this dude. Even if you're not, it's a really good sculpt. They did a fantastic job. Both of these are going to ship in October, so not too far from now. I know October. You go October, and oh wait a minute, August. Oh geez, we're not that far away. And you know what? With the heat we're going through here, I'm okay with that. Quicker October gets here. Dude, we stay hot through most of October, usually. We kind of start to cool down at the end of October. So, like, for Vegas, we got 2 more scorching months and a third pretty warm month. Oh, God. Anyhow, announced at San Diego Comic-Con. I picked this up just after my last stream. But Frazetta is releasing a She action figure based on the character by the great Billy Tucci. It is a character that I am aware of because of the art, but I have never freaking read it in my life. I don't really know a lot about the character, but obviously there is a pinup quality to the character. Should go well with the Vampirella they've done, the Red Sonja they've done, etc. But very cool that we're getting, and I mean, Vampirella, I don't know that she was ever done by Frazetta. I don't know that she was ever drawn, painted by Frazetta. I could be wrong about that, but kind of cool. They're branching, but she might have been. I don't know what the timing would have been on something like that. Mr. Sushiet says, that's a hot climate. Colorado usually snows at the end of October. Yeah, it's, and I hope it does, because we need water for Lake Mead. Although California and Arizona need that water more than Vegas does, to be honest with you. It's a whole engineering thing, but it's you guys are a little higher up than we are, and God bless you for it. Anyhow, cool development though from Frazetta Girls. I hope it'd be nice to get even some more stuff like this, because they produce some really nice figures, and I assume this is maybe Icon Collectibles doing it, but now this is kind of a mock-up of what it's going to look like. It's not an actual picture of the toy, so just keep your ears open. Apparently the pre-orders are going to open this winter, so She, very cool. And then this caught my attention as well. There's going to be a Street Fighter crossover with Common America. I've actually read Common America, even though I'm not like super into manga, but I went ahead and gave it a shot, and I liked it. It was fun. It's not something I decided to follow up on. I'll be honest with you, partly reading the books in that reverse sort of, honestly kind of got on my nerves. I would love a Common America done more American style. for reading. And it surprised me that it kind of got on my nerves, because why should it? But it did. I had to think more instead of just reflexively reading something. I had to think more reading it. And I'm a tired old man, and I prepare live streams and videos, and I work really hard. Some things I just want to relax to. So, but I did enjoy the story. I thought it was fun, a lot of charisma in the character. So they're doing this crossover with the Street Fighter characters, which tells you Common America has done pretty well globally, in Japan and the United States. And I think along with, with She getting an action figure with Frazetta, it's kind of, you're seeing, some indie stuff, or not mainstream exactly stuff, kind of picking up some steam here, I think. And I think it's a testament to what you can achieve when you work for it. And it takes a long time. It doesn't happen overnight, and I think maybe Disney and them are starting to maybe learn that too with some of the superhero stuff, where they go, well, we'll just have a new version of this character, or this is our version of this character, and it's going to do great. And it doesn't do great. It's like, well, you got to develop these things, and you got to see what people like and what they don't like. If you think in terms of Marvel villains, DC villains, right? Some have hit more than others. And I bring up villains because obviously every hero is going to fight, especially in the old days of episodic comics, is going to fight like maybe upwards of 9-10 different villains a year, and a lot of those are going to be new, at least in the old days. I mean, you read the old Batman books. We're talking like the 1950s, right? You had Batman, you had Detective Comics, you had World's Finest. Brave and the Bold hadn't started up yet. So you got those 3 books that Batman is in. You would get return appearances of the Joker, of the Penguin, of Catwoman, right? Those are the 3 primaries that show up a lot. Riddler ain't one of them. But then you get a character who'd show up a few times in a row. Cavalier, Killer Moth, had a good run for about a year, and then they kind of disappear. You got a lot of new characters, a lot of new villains in most stories, and most of them are super forgettable and never show up again, ever, right? So with the villains, you get a lot of characters. Most of them fail. They're just not that interesting. They kind of show up and they go away. Maybe they get resurrected a decade later by an artist who really dug them, or a writer who really dug them, and they sort of reinvent the character, and it becomes a thing now, right? But if you think about it, very few villains really hit, and it takes time to develop them to that arch enemy status, and it takes time to do that. And in a lot of the movies, it's like, we don't got time. Here's this new version of Black Widow. You must love her now. And it's like, they don't love her. They didn't take the time to develop her. They don't love her. People don't love her. She's not selling tickets. Apparently, she's very wrapped up in Doomsday and stuff. So, Mr. Sushi Head says, I miss Clock King from the old Batman. Yeah, and it's amazing. And maybe you already know this, but back in the 40s, Robin got essentially a solo series, but not solo Robin comic book. That started with Chuck Dixon. But in Star Spangled Comics, Robin got the cover and got a story in each issue, but it was him working solo without Batman. Batman would show up once or twice, but not much. And Clock King became kind of his arch foe. He shows up multiple times as a Robin foe. So he kind of started out there a little more than he started out as a Batman villain. He's kind of a Robin villain. I was kind of amazed at that. And Robin kept Star Spangled Comics for, I want to say 3-4 years, maybe something like that in terms of number of issues. And then they kind of moved on to other things, other characters. But Robin did get some solo stuff, and he had a couple girls who liked him and tried to become superheroes so they could get closer to him. They did stories like that. They weren't bad little stories. They were pretty good. So if you've never read those, Star Spangled Comics, 1940s, you look it up online, which issues, and if you could find copies of them, or I don't know if they've ever put them in like a trade paperback. It would be a good idea to do so, but you can see. But yeah, Clock King shows up as a villain 3 or 4 times, I think, in there, and they kind of, now he looks different than later Clock King, and they kind of even change his look from issue to issue. Like they hadn't quite settled on it. I want to say at least 3 appearances and maybe 4. And I think he was the only like villain that Robin faced that showed up multiple times. So there you go. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. He might have shown up in a Batman one before that, but he definitely showed up more against Robin than he did in the overall Batman comics. I'm going to go look at all my notes here in a minute and probably go, oh shit, I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's correct. So there you go, Clock King. Yeah. So that's kind of it for new stuff. I don't know when this is coming out, but I mostly just brought it up because it's like Common America is not obviously, it's not known as widely as Street Fighter, but it's kind of cool that it's getting that little crossover. And look, a big appeal to Common America is that Carly there is pretty well endowed. If you were going to probably accurately cast her for a movie, you kind of need to make a move towards Sydney Sweeney for that character. It's that bodacious anime girl sort of look that they go for with the women in that thing. So, just be aware of that if that thing kind of offends you. But I did read them, though, and the characters have a lot of fun personality to them. She's like, she's a woman who wants to design she wants to design costumes, but maybe other clothes too, but costumes for like superheroes. And she got her powers from, I want to say it was like a rock that fell from space, and others did as well. So there's that kind of a thing going. But it was a fun little book. It really was. It was a fun book, worth taking a look at. All right. Well, I think the only thing I have left really to talk about is, let's take that down, is Bronze Star 2 from Mike Barron and Pat Broderick. I was looking forward to this one. The first one involves werewolf. So what they've developed here, it's a Western. And if you've ever read like DC's Weird Western Tales, or was it Weird Western Stories? It was Weird War or Weird War Tales. God, how did they do? Anyways, Weird and Western was in the title. If you've read those, I think you get a good idea for what they're going for in this book. And I'm only going to show a couple pages because obviously I want to avoid spoilers and stuff. But Broderick has a really great style in this one, same as he brought in the first one. It's got a look of like almost like an old woodcut. The way the cross hatching is done, it's really interesting. Again, I said this last time too. I'd love, and I could have bought it last time and I didn't. I'd love a black and white version. A black and white friggin' magazine version would be really rad if they ever want to make one of those. But it works well. But the color does not detract from it. But if you got to really look, and you're going, God, look at that work that he's doing with like the cross hat. If we could maybe, if I could zoom in on his sleeve there. And I don't know if it'll get crisp enough, but like, the shading almost covers up a little of what he's doing there. It's really good work by him. But he's really setting up like a little universe, so to speak, of this town in Canada. This guy came to it. He becomes the sheriff, dealt with a werewolf in the first one. That was the primary story. In this one, he's dealing initially with Wendigo. It's a bad winter. The local Native Americans, I want to say, are Cree. I think they're Cree. There has been starvation. There has been cannibalism. And they come to him because they've done everything they could to keep the Wendigo away, and it ain't working. So they want the white man to figure it out. Maybe you got something we ain't got. And so he gets sort of involved, but he's really trying to just be sheriff of this town. He's got a relationship with a woman. We get a visitor, a French Jew named Yvel Finkelstein, he's a gambler and a gunfighter, and he's pretty cool. And you're like, is this dude evil or is he just roguish? I'm not really sure yet. He should be a reoccurring character. He's pretty damn interesting and pretty cool. But you have him in there, and so he gets involved. And then you get a couple extra stories. So it's sort of an anthology. That's why I'm comparing it to Weird Western Tales or whatever it was. It's a little bit like Kolchak of the Old West. A couple other monster stories with some interesting guest stars. And if you read Mike Barron's Leviathan, his Sherlock Holmes bit, kind of get an idea of what you get with some of these stories in here. A couple interesting visitors. I will not talk about who they are because that would ruin it for you. But I enjoyed it. And I was like, are we going to do like another big event thing? And when I started reading it, I'm like going, oh, okay. That wasn't as big an event. And I'm like, oh, I kind of get it. He's going for regular series here. He's exploring this little world and he's doing world building. And I kind of dig all that. And it's got everything that the other one had that was good and solid. And what I like also is the monster shows up and has to be dealt with. But a lot of the story is about how different people deal with the monster or maybe become the monster themselves. So it's kind of more than a monster book. It's a character study book, right? Of not only our main character, that sheriff, but of Finkelstein, of the blacksmith who fills in as a deputy and what he goes through, of the guy who owns the. All right, looks like we fell off for just a second there. I do have to show. Yeah. Lady Wendelin, tell me if I'm back up. I think I am. It said I'm reconnected and I'm up. If anybody wants to chime in. But at any rate, I do have to show this though, because this really tickled me. So this arrives. It's obviously bagged. It's boarded. I see the cover. Cool. Yesterday, I'm like, let me crack into it. I want to read it so I can review it. I hadn't seen the back cover yet. Here's the back cover, right? But the thing that got me was up in that corner. If we can get it to get crisp, I think you could probably read it anyways. My review from Broderick is quoted there. I'm like, whoa! I got quoted on a back cover of a comic book. That's pretty damn neat. That's never happened to me before. So thank you, Mike Barron, for that. I really appreciate that you thought what I said was worthwhile. That was really fun. So Bronze Star 2. I will be getting a Bronze Star 3 if they decide to do it. And not just because I got, sort of my name. It's Dad's Den, but it's, not just because I got a little bit of a notice on there. Not really a notice. It's not like I did something that they said, this guy's really, it's just, my little review, but that's kind of fun. I didn't expect that. So that's Bronze Star 2, but you might want to check that out, man. I know he's doing another Private American, and I did enjoy Private American for sure. I love Mike Barron. He's going to be doing some more Badger. He just keeps rolling, man. And he's got such an interesting take on things. And look, on Twitter, he's got political takes that I know a lot of people out there wouldn't like. Okay, it's true. Look, I follow other comic creators who have political takes I don't like. It's just something. And maybe some of that philosophy works into the books. You'd have to see which ones you like, which ones you don't. Interesting looking at older stuff he's done too and seeing the through line. But beyond any of that, he brings an interesting perspective to what he does. Always an interesting perspective to what he does. He zigs when you think he's going to zag on a lot of stuff. And that makes it fun to read and think about. And look, at the end of the thinking, you might go, no, I don't think he's right, but he makes you think about it, you know. And I don't think you ever, on the face of it, well, if you just see on the face of it, go, oh, you need to read more deeply about what he's really saying. But I think you probably will come away going, I get where he's coming from. Now, personally, I probably agree with him more than I disagree with him. Nobody agrees with everybody 100%, but yeah, how are those takes presented? That makes a difference, and he introduces them in an interesting way. Yeah, Private American is definitely kind of like, whoa, you know, Punisher, but working at the border. But read Private American and see what's going on there, and see the fact he writes characters who are flawed. He writes characters that are not right about everything all the time. He writes characters that screw up, you know, kind of like Chuck Dixon with the Horseman. I think in his Horseman stories, the Horseman, Hector, has screwed up more than he's gotten right at this point. A lot more than he's gotten right. Dude's good heart, but he doesn't think things through as well as he should. And that's kind of where the last one ends, of him going, ooh, I kind of stepped in it again. Crap. What do I do about this? Good character, though, man, because he's human. And Mike Baron characters, they can be odd, but they're human. The Badger is an odd character, but he's very human, you know. And so love Baron stuff. And I came to it a lot later in life, you know, just based on, like, I read his Wally West Flash stuff, you know, back when I didn't really know what a Mike Baron was. It was a fun. And I'm like, it's really good stuff. It's really good stuff, but it's always just off kilter enough to be very interesting, and to know there's a brain behind all this stuff, even if it feels like it's a comic book trope. It's never a comic book trope with Mike Baron. Interesting guy. So that, I believe, will do it for Dad's Den of Pop Culture today. Oh, internet down again? Okay. Yeah, it's flashing. It's flashing. It didn't tell me I was off, but it definitely... Yeah, it's dropping a lot of frames. Well, I don't know how much of this will come through, but seems like a good time to end the stream. Oh, was it maybe? No, it's still screwed up. Good time to end the stream when everything's falling apart. So I'll just quickly say, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. And I will hopefully see you again soon with things actually functioning in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. I don't even know if I'm still on at this point. Oh, someone needs a new... Yeah, I need to do something, I guess, right? Everything was working fine.